that's how we're able to run the campaign. The campaign was created because the school districts said that they believed that the next step was to unite under one message. And so as a result of that, the superintendents who formed that, that's when they engaged the agency, and they then unified under this one message, go public. So we continue to have the district contributions based on enrollment levels. There's a treasurer, Sandy Huey, who is the trustee for Northeast ISD, and she handles all of that. In addition to that, we also have business contributions. We have a pretty strong representation from the architects and engineers industry, but last year we branched out into other industries, connecting them to events like culinary events and so on and so forth. And I just thank you, and would welcome any questions if you have any.
How do you decide how to say you make like the billboards and other things? How do you decide what to go?
I'm sorry, how do I decide where they go?
Yeah, like you get some because you have however many districts in there. I'm sure you don't do a billboard for the district.
That's a fantastic question. No, there's a billboard for every district. For our larger ones, like Northeast, Northside, and San Antonio ISD, they would have just a few more, about 3, compared to the one for other districts. I also look at, I overlap a map of where all of the charter schools are located. So once I'm able to see where those locations are, I then strategically have identified the locations of the billboards per district. So we work closely with Clear Channel to ensure that, you know, they're placed in strategic locations. And that's really a good point there. It's the approach to all of the media buys is to make it as equitable as possible and to make sure that everybody has representation. As well as ensuring that the stories that are coming out, that I help find ways to amplify them, you know, even within your own district.
I think that's interesting on the billboard placing. I just hear a lot more in the news about the charter schools, and the private schools are doing a lot more advertising than they used to in the past. And that was one of the questions, how do you combat some of that, and realizing that public schools are very important.
It's a great question. So yes, so what the charter schools have done, and have done a tremendous job, is marketing. They have a lot of marketing dollars to allocate toward television buys, billboards, even their own branding and literature that's coming out. When looking at the opportunity with the districts, the first and foremost priority of every district is to educate the students. What's happened though, the communications departments have become more and more adept at marketing themselves and telling the stories. However, there still is a need to take those stories and lift them up in a more maybe kind of an advertising way. So it's important always to understand what your competitor is doing. You know, and so that's the way I approach things. Let's see what the charter schools are doing, the private schools are doing, because we want to make sure that we're leveling the playing field, and that's why those tactics are at a very broad scale and then narrowed down into the districts. I don't know if that answers your question. Okay.
I got a question.
Sure.
So when you look at Vernia, like the community that's kind of secluded, you know, from a big area that has maybe multiple schools, multiple districts within a close range, and you look at something like Vernia, can you talk about similar districts associated with Vernia of similar characteristics and kind of what the benefits that they have seen?
Sure, that's a really great question. Floresville ISD and just recently Medina Valley ISD, which Medina Valley I feel is very similar to y'all here. So the smaller districts have benefited because they're able to jump onto some of these big opportunities. For example, both Medina Valley and Floresville ISD made sure that they had students whose artwork was featured on those buses. And those buses were also then featured on the evening news, and then they were also amplified on social media. So that was one opportunity that they were able to jump on, as well as Cool Schools. The Cool Schools initiative is something where that 1 month has only one district featured and 3 schools or 3 programs. So for example, with Floresville, they didn't want to have 3 schools compete because that's all they had. So we looked at 3 programs in their high school, and what that did was really elevate the whole school because they had a big spotlight on them. I'm also too very mindful of how are there ways that we can look at the branding of Go Public to help, lift up maybe for example, their website or stories. So I think those are some of the ways where they're able to get the benefits of these big media buys. There is no way. When you're doing a media buy like that, it's expensive. So by pooling the resources and the fact that we're a nonprofit, we're able to do a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I did want to just make one note. The commitment that's required of the trustees really is more of, I would extend opportunities for you all to be at an event or involved in, something that's happening with the media or being a spokesperson if you chose, but it's a very flexible, malleable dynamic. The other requirement is that there would be one individual PIO or director of communications who would be the point person for me to help navigate those stories. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much.
Next item is the summer facilities update report. Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Beck.
Yes, hi. Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Dr. Levette. At this time, Mr. Beck and I will be presenting an update on the board status report regarding a facilities update. So we're going to get started if that's okay. This slide here basically is a spreadsheet of all of the actual, for the most part, the approved items that y'all approved during the budget workshop. There's a few on here that were carried over from the prior year. We'll go over that as well. It's kind of broken out by the campus, of course, the actual project, what was budgeted, the actual cost, what do we actually spend for that project, the status, and then just any particular notes. Right quick, so just the primary campus, there were 3 projects that we did. One was a roof repair that pretty much is done. That was the roof that had the funnel, the classrooms, so that's been taken care of. The cafeteria repair, the primary, this was in the cafeteria, as we talked about this past summer, this was the mold in it, in which we remediated, so that's been completed. All we're waiting for now on that one is the actual cooler to be installed. And still the primary would be the playscape, but that was already completed. So I know that the kids have really enjoyed that, so thank you for that.
Good evening, members of the board. The intermediate playscape that is 100% complete, turned out really well, and definitely benefit for the school. Also, the high school roof repairs, we are 95% complete. We have final punch list we've given them, but we're complete. Cafeteria repair, VCT floor replacement, that is also 100% complete. We did have a change order on that of $13,183.86 due to the substrate or the underlayment underneath the flooring, the pre-existing condition. In order to put down a new product, we had to remove a lot of the old pad. It's kind of like when you paint your house, if you have paint that's peeling on the walls, you don't want to paint over the peeling paint. You want to take it off and put a good product on. So we're going to have a long-lasting floor with that.
The next item is the Gen 2 floor repair. That's been completed, and that was taken out of Mr. Beck's budget. as well as that change line on top for the cafeteria floor. The next item is the cafeteria HVAC unit replacement. That was from prior year, but they completed that this summer, so that's been done. Then of course, the next item is, these are pending items that I'll let Jeremy discuss, which is the septic and the well repairs.
The septic repairs, due to the extent of the amount of work that's gonna be done on the septic system, I did want to get 3 quotes involved in, just to make sure that the district gets a good product. So I already recommend a final cost where we're going to the PO process, and that's where we're fixing to start that pretty soon, the project pretty soon. The baseball well repairs, we are still kind of in the planning section of that. We do have TCEQ involved, which they are the Texas, they do with all the water treatment, with making sure that our water quality is up to our specs. Now the well system, when the school was built, we didn't have TCEQ approval on it, so the water was set up for landscaping and so forth like that. So in order to make it a public consumption use for water, there's different steps involved. So we're getting all the details together, getting costs together and stuff so that we can all make a good decision, long-term decision for this.
Next is the AHIRA update. The final sampling of areas pretty much has been completed. We've already paid that amount out, and we have the other half encumbered, so we're definitely utilize that full amount there. The termite excavate irrigations over at the intermediate, high school, junior, and auditorium, that work is also pending due to the large amount of areas involved. So there's a plan of action for that treatment that's been determined, and work is being planned as we speak. The next item is the HVAC control replace. That's over at the, that's just district-wide. And so that's about 50% complete as well. And then of course we have the GR parking lot project that there were a couple of change orders in that as well. There's a few things that they still need to complete. These past couple of, I guess, weeks, even month, due to the rain, each time they're going to be coming out on the weekend to do the final repairs that they had obviously canceled. So another working journey on that and getting this a good day. We thought about this weekend, but apparently we have rain again this weekend, so it's coming. But we'll let them know as we go along. And just as we discussed, these are just a couple of pictures that we took. This is a primary roof repair. It's been completed. These are the playground repairs before and after. You can see the difference. I mean, that's just there's a big difference there. The primary cafeteria repairs. So there's the before, there's the after. And even in that after, that was a little storage room that was in there, and it's over now on the right-hand side. So under the cafeteria, they enjoyed that. And so, but of course, now they're just waiting on the freezer part. So. The intermediate playground repairs, again, there's a before and after, much different, just looks much nicer. And it's safe for the kids. So
this was a maintenance concern in one of our SLED classrooms. We had a bifold door that was becoming an issue with the students with special needs. It was becoming a safety issue. So we decided to build in a new door that we can secure and make this facility safe. So I think that was interesting. Again, with the parking lot, we do have a large punch list with the contractor. We're waiting for these repairs to be complete before we sign off on it. High school roof repairs, entire roof was replaced. Cafeteria floor. I have the before. It's kind of a rough picture to see because you have the tables in the way. But also here's the other pictures of the different conditions of the substrate before we replaced the floor, before we had the final finished flooring on it. This was the high school or the auditorium gym where we gym 3 where we had the floor repair. have the high school outdoor library, which came out really nice. And all the donators and the people that were behind this, it's going to be a very wonderful thing for the students in the high school. This was also the units that were replaced over at the high school. This is over the cafeteria. It was, I guess, previous issues in times past where we put in some brand new units. So we'll have years and years of trouble-free AC. This was also, we did have a lot of issues with large units, which are AC units that are on portables. So we actually replaced 3 of them this summer. This came out of our maintenance budget. We took care of it, got it done before the start of school. The bat removal. This was an interesting situation. But we eradicated all the bats safely without harming them. And the entire high school was sealed. 10-year guarantee that we will not have any more bats in our facility. So this is a problem hopefully we won't have to deal with for a long time.
Ms. Sparkle, members of the board, if I can say just a few things. I'd like to commend Commissioner Doss and Mr. Beck. That's a lot of work. Having I spent 7 years overseeing projects and operations, and they both have done an outstanding job getting all these projects done in such a short period of time to get us ready for school. And I really like to recognize them for their efforts. Thank you, Dr. Beck.
Next item is discussion on the housing board policy of WCN. Madam Veteran, Ms. Burns,
Good evening, board members, Ms. Burkle and Dr. Levette. Casey Dixon, who is the expert in this field, is here with me today to discuss this new policy update. So just to give you a little bit of history on FFAC Local, back in January 2017, we updated this policy to allow us to keep in stock on the campuses unassigned EpiPens. Basically, we would have those unassigned EpiPens for anybody that was having an anaphylactic reaction to that. I've been practicing that term. And so initially, we were required to have those unassigned EpiPens during the school hours, which the TASB first defined that as the instructional day. Now, just recently, the Texas Department of Health Services updated, the commissioner released new rules expanding that time frame that we have to have those available to not just during the school hours, but at any school-sponsored event when any personnel were on campus. So that extends it a little bit, and we have to cover more area at this time, a larger time frame, and have those EpiPens covered. Now, I'm going to let Casey talk a little bit about the steps that we've taken. We've worked a lot together the past month on our plan, our action plan to be ready for this policy update.
Good evening, Ms. Sparkle, Dr. Levette, and board members. Thank you for having me here. We go back to the time when they changed the policy over and sent it to Ms. Burns. We started looking at the wording along with a lot of other school districts and school nurses in particular, and thought this is going to be a logistical nightmare getting this taken care of. We thought it was going to be difficult for us, but when we looked at larger school districts, we knew it was going to be very difficult to do. So we started working on it and developed a plan and have one in place to move forward with this should you guys decide to do this. We currently have the unassigned epinephrine pens on every campus in the district. They are currently kept in the clinics. We were able to acquire those through a grant from the Mylan Company, who is the pharmaceutical company that manufactures the EpiPens. So we have those at no cost to the district. Every year or year and a half, as they expire, we can apply again and get new ones, which is what we've done since we began with this. With that being said, as they have expanded this, they do not offer any more EpiPens to a school district other than the ones that they allow for the campuses. So in order for us to do this and have these available for all school-sponsored events or when anyone is here, we're going to have to acquire more epinephrine, more EpiPens. I'm going to use EpiPens because that's the brand, that's the most easily recognizable. But there are others as well. It's simply an epinephrine auto-injector is what it is. So we've looked at that and looked into what the steps are going to be to have that taken. So for the district to do that, we'll need to acquire not only more EpiPens, we will need to purchase more lock boxes. We're going to have to move the EpiPens that are currently in the clinics out to where the AEDs are in our district. We will need to make sure that we have an EpiPen lock box for every AED that we have in the district. We currently have 10 AEDs in the district. We're in the process of investigating purchasing 2 more, one for central office and one for our softball, baseball fields. So that will be 2 more. So that's an expense that we're looking at that's going to have to be budgeted for about roughly every 2 months for the purchase of these EpiPens. So we're looking at roughly $11,000 to cover the EpiPens to put in the lock boxes to have them available. What the mandate says is that it's either all or nothing. Excuse me. The district has the option to remove this. We can take this policy away. But it was very important for us to put this in place. It's a life-saving policy. When we started reviewing this and looking at this and determining whether it was something that we needed, our students have always come first in this district. And our board moved forward and put this in place to protect our students and also our staff. As many of you probably know, you never know when an anaphylactic or severe allergic reaction is going to occur. Last year at the end of the year, we had 30 students that had EpiPens on our primary campus alone. So it has increased by exponential numbers. It's just amazing how many kids we have in the district that have anaphylaxis or could have anaphylactic reactions. So that's why we're moving forward with this, so that we have them in place and continue with protecting our students, staff, and community members that are at our events. Another piece of it that we'll have to step up to is that we have to determine who is going to be trained to administer these EpiPens. And speaking with Ms. Burns and looking at that, we know that an administrator has to be present at every after-school event. So we're going to start with administrators, we're going to start with coaches, we're going to start with campus teams that the principals and administrators are going to determine who those people are. They might be UIL sponsors, they'll definitely be our band directors. We're going to move forward with doing the training for them. That's about a 30 to 45 minute course that we will do. The RNs will present that, and that's what we can do with our licensure. We can go ahead and certify these personnel, the staff, to administer these epinephrine pens. So that's the next step. Along with acquiring the pens, we'll have the training in place, and of course we'll have documentation for all of that.
This is a discussion item. There's a report only. At this time, we'll bring it back next month. But do y'all have any questions for us?
So have you had to use any of our EpiPens?
We have. Since we began and got our first EpiPens through the unassigned project, we've only had to use them one time. That student had never been diagnosed with having anaphylaxis, had an anaphylactic reaction. Anytime you administer an EpiPen, you have to send them via EMS. And so we did that. The student saw an allergist and actually came back with EpiPens because it was a severe anaphylactic reaction. So had we not had that available, they can go down very quickly. Let me just tell you that part.
And I guess that was my next question. If we didn't have EpiPens, because we didn't have them before, what would we do?
Calling us.
And then they would respond in time, and did we have cases of that happening?
Many years ago, to be honest with you, we did have an issue with that. Our current EMS, they respond very quickly. We have not had delays in any sort for any emergency that we've had to call EMS for. So they respond much more quickly now.
Last question for me, what about liability? So we're training folks to do this. Is there liability associated with doing that if it causes some negative health consequence to the person who gets injected?
If we have the plan in place and we have everyone trained, I believe it falls under the Good Samaritan law, is what we've been told, but that is something that will obviously have to go through our legal department to make sure that that's clear. Many other school districts in the state have the same program in place. There are a few school districts who have opted not to have unassigned EpiPens, not because of the liability, but honestly because of the expense, because it is very expensive.
Thank you.
On the lock boxes, are each one of the people that are going to be trained with the EpiPen going to have a key to the lockbox, or how do they access the lockbox?
Well, each one of the lock boxes that we have now and the ones that we order, they do have a place to have unlocked because they're in the clinic right now. They're not locked, but I've already met with Mr. Deck and he's looked at the epinephrine lock boxes. And what we're going to get will be a combination lock, the straight line combination lock, so it's only 4 numbers. And everyone trained will have that combination and no one else will be allowed to have that so that they're secure.
I got a question. So going through from a training perspective, you can train on how to administer it, right? What about when to administer it?
That's part of the training. You have to be able to recognize the signs and symptoms of a severe reaction versus a mild reaction. And so that is definitely a part of the training. It's a PowerPoint presentation. We actually do a hands-on demonstration with the trainer so that everyone that is trained actually gets to have a trainer to see what the actual steps are. And we do it basically one-on-one with them and speak with them, and then they have to take a test to show that they know what those signs and symptoms are. Sure. Right now we have obviously assigned EpiPens for the kids like I was mentioning on our primary campus, how many we have. At the beginning of every school year, we go over anaphylaxis with all of our staff members. We do a training at that point in time, and then for our students that go on field trips, the teachers are actually brought down into the clinic and given hands-on training because they have to take them with them on field trips. So they are all certified and trained to be able to administer it at that time.
Got one more. So just for clarification in regards to, the expansion of this policy includes, from these hours to any time anybody's on campus. Does this account for off-campus activities like if you're traveling UIL meet, volleyball game, bus trip, field days? Is that included as well, or is it just on campus?
We have the option whether that we can include off-campus events or not include, and Ms. Burns has been with our legal team. And at this point in time, we've decided not to include off-campus events.
Which the initial draft that the TASB rep did give us had the off-campus, but we're going to recommend that she redraft that to take off the off-campus.
Thank y'all.
So why are we recommending not to do off campus? If our kids report on campus, they report off campus?
Well, because what we're basically hoping is that where they go on campus to other events, they are, and again, it falls into the transportation of EpiPens, and then again, that's going to fall in who's going to be responsible for that, and keeping those secure at the entire time. And when kids go on those field trips, most of those kids we already know that they have an anaphylactic reaction to certain things. So there's no way, I think, feasibly that we would be able to have them. And that's what most districts are doing. They're not providing them for off-campus events.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the Guadalupe Appraisal District Board of Directors nomination. Mr. Levesque.
Yes, Ms. Burkle, members of the board. We received information from the Guadalupe Appraisal District that they have had a resignation on the board. And they send information to taxing entities to allow them to nominate someone to fill that vacancy. It is an option for the board, it's not a requirement. And we did upload the information for you to review and the criteria qualifications that Guadalupe County Appraisal District and the Board of Directors has sent. It's a discussion item only, and if the board requests, we can bring it back if there's a nomination, and then it does have to happen before October the 5th. I'm sorry, that's all right. October the 25th. And so we would be able to act on it at our next board meeting if there was a nomination request.
I think Ryan would do a great job.
This will move on to discussion discussion and action items, the consent agenda, items to be approved in one all-encompassing motion. If discussion is desired on a particular item, it will be removed from the consent agenda. We have the minutes from the August 20th regular meeting, the financials, TASB board policy